Okay, let me ask you something. What if I told you that some of the most successful projects in history were, by all the usual standards, complete and utter failures? Today, we're going to tear up the old project management playbook to uncover the one thing that truly matters.
So let's just start with a simple question that honestly has a pretty complicated answer. Think about the last project you were a part of, whether it was huge or tiny. What was the real goal? Was it just about checking off a box and hitting a deadline? Or was there something more going on?
Well, the answer, and this comes straight from the official rulebook, is actually simple, but it's also kind of profound. It's all about value. And I'm telling you, that one word changes everything. It reframes every single project, from a billion-dollar skyscraper to planning a weekend camping trip, as a deliberate move to create something worthwhile.
So, let's dive into our first big idea. Because I promise, once you learn to see the world through this value lens, you are never going to look at a project the same way again.
Now, in the business world, they have a term for this: business value. But don't let the jargon fool you. It's a simple idea. It's just, what's the actual benefit of doing this thing? It's not some fuzzy, abstract concept. It's the cold, hard why behind a project even existing in the first place.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Value isn't just about cash you can count. I mean, sure, you've got your tangible stuff, like profits and buildings, but often the real game changer is the intangible value. Things like brand loyalty or how happy your employees are. Think about it. A beautifully designed new office. That's tangible, right? But it can massively boost team collaboration and creativity, which is intangible. You see, the two are totally connected.
But, creating all this value doesn't just happen by magic. Nope. It needs a well-oiled machine. So let's pull back the curtain for a second and look at the system that turns great ideas into real-world results.
The official name is a system for value delivery, which, sounds a little dry. I like to think of it more like an orchestra. The company's grand strategy, that's the symphony they're trying to play. This system is how the conductor makes sure every single section, from the violins of individual projects to the percussion of daily operations, plays in perfect harmony to create something amazing.
And here's the breakdown of that orchestra. Let's take a company like Apple. Their portfolio might be something huge, like dominate the personal electronics market. A program inside that portfolio could be the yearly iPhone release. And each new feature, like a better camera, well, that's an individual project. And the day-to-day stuff, making and selling the phones, that's your operations. See how it all flows from the big picture right down to the details? Now, for this whole system to actually work, communication is absolutely everything. Information flows down from leadership telling the projects what to do. But what's even more important is the flow of information back up. That feedback loop is the system's nervous system. It tells leadership what's working and what's not, letting them tweak the strategy as they go. Without it, the whole orchestra is just playing in the dark.
Okay, but even the most perfectly designed system has to exist in the real world. And we all know the real world is messy, it's unpredictable, and it is always changing. So let's talk about the project environment.
Project managers have this fancy term for all those outside forces: enterprise environmental factors, or EEFs. It sounds super complicated, but it's not. Just imagine you're planning an outdoor wedding. The weather? That's a classic EEF. You can't control it, but you absolutely have to plan for it.
And these factors are coming at you from all directions. Internally, you're dealing with things like the company culture or what resources you have. And externally, you're up against market competition and government rules. The best project managers, they're like expert sailors, constantly adjusting the sails to navigate these unpredictable winds.
Now, while you can't control the weather, you can make sure you've got the best gear for the journey. And that's where organizational process assets, or OPAs, come in. The best way to think of these is as your company's secret toolkit, a treasure chest of wisdom and shortcuts.
And this toolkit is full of incredibly useful stuff: ready-made templates, proven procedures, lists of suppliers you already trust. But the most valuable thing in that whole box? It's the collection of lessons learned from past projects. This is basically the company's collective brain, and it's what ensures every new project is smarter than the last one.
But let's be real for a second. You can have the best systems in the world, the most sophisticated tools you can imagine, but all of it is completely worthless without the most important element of all, the people.
Because at the end of the day, projects are human endeavors. They just are. It's a team of people with all their creativity, their passion, and their brilliant problem-solving skills who breathe life into a plan and turn a simple idea into reality. And because of that, the role of our project manager has changed a lot. It's no longer just about Gantt charts and spreadsheets. Today's project leaders have to be masters of communication. They need to be strategic thinkers, and they need to be empathetic leaders. They're part coach, part diplomat, and part visionary, all rolled into one.
And success is never, ever a solo act. It really does take a village. You've got the sponsor, who champions the project and gets the resources, the project team, who actually builds the thing, and maybe most importantly, you've got the end users, the people who will ultimately decide if the project was a hit or a miss.
And all of this, everything we've talked about, leads us to our final and honestly our most important point. It is time to throw out the old definition of project success. So here's the big reveal. There are two different ways to measure success. For decades, we've been obsessed with management success. Did we hit our deadlines? Did we stay on budget? But that's like judging a movie by its production schedule. The real question is outcome success. Did the audience love the movie? Did it actually make a difference?
And there is no better example of this than the Sydney Opera House. On paper, this project was a disaster of epic proportions. 10 years late and a mind-boggling 1,400% over budget. By all traditional metrics, a colossal management failure. But just look at it now. It's a global icon, a masterpiece of human creativity, and an engine of economic and cultural value. It is a spectacular outcome success.
And you know what? The opposite is just as true. You can have a project that runs like a Swiss watch. Perfectly on time, perfectly on budget. But if you build a beautiful, perfectly constructed bridge that leads to absolutely nowhere, what have you really accomplished? It's what I'd call a perfectly executed failure.
And this isn't just a hypothetical. This really happened. In Montreal, they built a beautiful $11 million overpass. I'm sure it was a masterpiece of project management. The only problem? A year later, they had to tear it down because it didn't fit with the city's long-term vision. A perfectly managed project that created literally zero value.
So, the next time you see a new skyscraper going up, or you download a new app, or even just hear about a new initiative at work, I want you to ask a different kind of question. Don't ask if it was on time or on budget. Instead, ask yourself, did it create real, lasting value? Because in the end, that's the only thing that truly matters.